What's up? I know. How's this? Sorry. I'm going to cut him off. Just say your names and high school and grade. Okay. Hello, everybody. I would like to introduce myself, Susan Muma from the Youth Development Program, Youth Council Advocate, and I welcome you here for this election CBC Candidate Forum. And now I would like to introduce my youth council. So,
Hi, I'm Alexis Gomez. I'm a senior at Omak High School, and I am the Youth Council Secretary.
Hi, I'm Kylie Canales. I am a junior in Omak High School, and I am the Youth Council Sergeant of Arms.
Hello, my name is Shayana Carden. I am a junior at Omak High School, and I am the president.
Hello, I'm Talon Kate. I'm a junior in Omak High School and I'm the vice president.
Hi, I'm Jose Condon. I'm a junior at Omak High School and I'm Youth Council Treasurer.
My name is Tachina Gore, and I am the youth education advocate for the Omak District for the Youth Development Program. And I'm going to be reading the debate rules. So we have time limits. Each candidate will have a set time for opening statements, responses, and closing remarks. You can see the monitor here that will do a countdown. And so you will have 2 minutes. And we have a designated moderator that will facilitate the debate, ensuring fair and orderly discussion. The moderators have the authority to enforce rules and maintain decorum. So the candidates will be given equal opportunity to respond to each question, and there will be no direct rebuttals unless specified by the moderator. Candidates must remain respectful and professional. Personal attacks, interruptions, or inflammatory language will not be tolerated tonight. Repeated violations may result in a time deduction or removal from the debate. So for the audience, they are encouraged to attend and listen, but must remain respectful. There will be no disruptions, shouting, or commentary during candidate responses. So in the event of a technical issue, as in a microphone failure, the debate will pause briefly to allow for a resolution. The debates may be recorded. We have our equipment here, and it will be made available for public viewing. So media representatives are welcome, but must adhere to designated areas and guidelines. So we appreciate everybody for following these debate rules. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for inviting me. My name's Norma Sanchez. I actually live in the Omak District. I'm running for position number 1. I'm the incumbent. And I've been on the Tribal Business Council. This is my 8th year ending in July. Okay. And you can hear me. My name is Karen Condon. I am running for Tribal Business Council, Omak District, position number 2.
I was elected at a special election on March 9th, 2018. And so I've been reelected for the last 3 terms. And technically this would be my 8th year, like Norma, since I came in 7 months after the 2017 cycle started. And I look forward to hearing the questions and answering them.
And thanks for setting this up also. I think it's a good idea, candidates forum. My name is Mike Marchand. I'm running for council. My parents are Ed and Thelma Marchand. I'm Sinaiks and Wenatchee descent. And I guess the reason I'm running is I'd like to continue working with the tribe. I've worked for the tribe most of my life, and I was on council for about 20 years probably. And then I got sick about 5 or 6 years ago, and so I've been kind of out of things for a while. So I'm just trying to catch up again. But I guess one of the things I'd like to work on is the expansion of the tribe to continue serving tribal members, of course, but also I think more and more the tribe has moved off the reservation. Probably way over half the tribe lives off the reservation now, and we do some things for those tribal members, but we could probably do more. And also, I think during my generation, most people thought they would grow up work for the tribe, and that'll still happen. But I think we need more and more job skills and education to be able to work anywhere. So thank you.
I guess I'll start with the first question. We'll start with Norma and go to Mike. What was your reasoning to run for council this year and why?
That is a really good question because I thought I was going to be retiring this year. I actually see a lot of issues that are going on with our project developments. We have a lot of community issues with the water and the system that we have to work with the engineering and municipalities. I wanted to make sure that they got completed. We're in the middle phase of negotiation of the 630-18, which is the governmental transition from the IHS facilities managing our clinics to transferring that operational management to the tribe. And so we're in the middle phase of that. It's a lot more work, a lot of collaboration with IHS and their staff to get all the operational information so that we can complete that. We have a lot of moving projects and funding that we were finalizing, and if we stay on course, that we will be able to start working on new projects that we were working in the process of a loan document that we did get completed for the senior mill sites and the expansion on the Spiel and Longhouse. So there was a lot of moving parts. And then the fact that the new administration came in hot, scrambled all of the federal agencies that the tribes work with, and were threatening the funding sources. And it's stuff that I've been working on since I've been on council, things that we've been working to protect. And so it's really one of the reasons that I chose to stay is I've already had that connection with partnerships to reach out to them and to lobby against, the cuts that are in place. So that was my reasoning.
Same question? I didn't know it was the same question, so I apologize. All right. So the reason I'm rerunning is because I am passionate about making sure that the tribes continue to exercise their sovereign right to govern themselves. It's important that we take a look at everything that we're connected to and everything that we're working on, and making sure that everything that we do is in the best interests of the membership and the tribe in general. More importantly, making sure that we're providing the services and every opportunity available for our youth so that they grow up to become leaders themselves. It's really important that we focus on the youth and making sure that they receive not only health care, but educational and historical and cultural background information so that they're strong and passionate about wanting to represent the tribe in any leadership role that they want to go into. And so I love my tribe, and I want everybody to love the Colville tribes just as much as I do. I want everybody to have that passion that I do to make sure that we're providing all the services that are necessary for us to be healthy and strong, and that we're culturally competent. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm running. And like Norma said, there's a new administration in place, and it's important that we continue to work with those partners that we've been working with for the last 50 years that have helped us in making sure that our rights, our sovereign rights to govern ourselves, are still in place. And so working and developing and strengthening those working relationships with congressional folks is so important, especially now that the new administration is changing things really quickly. We all know that in order, though, for a lot of those proposals, that Congress is the only one that can control whether or not those issues continue.
There's a lot of issues, but I'll try to focus on just a couple. One, we're under a terrible president right now, President Trump. He's totally against almost everything Indian and almost everything for people who are not billionaires. But we're stuck with him for 4 years, most likely. But there are midterm elections coming up, and those are very important. We need to make sure that he does not have a majority in the Senate and a majority in the Congress. And that's going to be a big task, and it's going to take cooperation with all 500 plus tribes to work on that. Now, the Colvilles have done things like this before. We used to have an Indian hater in this state called Slade Gordon, and he was the most powerful senator in the country. And the Colvilles, along with Northwest tribes and national tribes, we were able to dump that guy. We put in Senator Cantwell, and she won by the slimmest of margins, and the difference was the Native vote. Without Native, she would not be in office. So we're in the same situation now, but maybe even bigger. We have the whole country to worry about. And then down closer to home, we won a big case at Icicle River for salmon rights, and there was a hotly contested big fight. Went up to the Supreme Court, and we won. We have the right to fish there. But there's other rights we need down there also. One, we need land base. Two, we need the right to hunt. And those are all things that, as far as I'm concerned, are still on the table. I heard we have a lawyer that said we can't win that case, but they also said we couldn't win the fish case, and we did. So I think when you get lawyers like that, it's time to get a new lawyer. But anyway, the next case is the Snipes case. We won a big case in Canada. We won a big chunk of British Columbia. And what had happened, for those not up to speed on this, Canada declared Snipes people extinct, also known as Arrow Lakes people. They confiscated their rights and so forth. So that's be the next case. Thank you.
The next question is, how will you use your time wisely to better the community? Starting with Mike.
That's another hard one because there's so much that gets thrown in the council's plates. And I think part of being a good council person and I don't claim to know all the answers, but we have a couple thousand staff people. We have thousands of tribal members. And to me, the key is we need to get everybody working on issues. And whether you're a paid staff or a community member, we need to figure out ways to get people mobilized, get your ideas, and so forth. Same with council. Council all needs to work on different things. Whoever gets elected, they're not going to be experts in everything. So they have to work together as a team and figure out gaps. And if we don't have council expertise in one area, we need to bring them in. So it's kind of a big picture management problem as far as that time goes. And one councilman can't possibly do everything. And so we need to learn to delegate things out, share responsibility, like if one councilman can't make it, another one needs to fill in, that sort of thing. And they all have a role to play. The school has a big important role. The senior centers, all our programs are important. And so to me, that's a lot of what the council job should be, is you're kind of orchestrating all this big effort across the board, and hopefully we get things covered. Thank you.
So I'll just tag along with Mike's comments, and I'm assuming I'm next because I'm in the middle. So, okay, wasting valuable seconds. So Mike's right in that it's really hard for us to be everywhere on any given day when there are so many things going on. So what happens some of the times is I'm currently the vice chair and Jared's the chair. And he'll go to certain events, I'll go to certain events, and then if there are other meetings scheduled at the same time, then other council will attend those meetings. I definitely try to participate in Omak District meetings because it's really important to maintain that connection with the community. So you'll see me at the second harvest days helping hand out food. I've done it in the dead of winter and it's been cold out there when we hand out the turkeys. But it's something that I really enjoy doing. I attend a lot of services, that's a given. Attend a lot of more memorials, that's a given. And what's important for everybody to know is that we're all related to everybody. And so we all try to make sure that we're present to send off our relatives in a good way. And it's so important that people understand that, you know, not everybody can make it. You know, somebody may be out sick at a doctor's appointment or on travel, but we try to attend as many of the local events as we can. The same way with those national, regional, and local meetings. We try to attend as many as we can because we need to continue to strengthen those working relationships. So that's what I try to do. Thank you.
So I think that it's important to understand that we've been working on a lot of our tribal codes. A lot of the different codes have been outdated. They haven't been updated to what are the current issues going on in our communities. Like when we were kids, there was Omak curfew. I mean, if you were out after 10 o'clock at night and you weren't 16 or older, they'd pick you up and put you in juvie. They don't have things like that anymore. And they were protection measurements for not just the minors, but also for people that just are wandering around trying to get in trouble. The codes that we're looking at are more for like people who are squatting, vandalizing, having a lot of garbage and things in their properties, how to take respect for your own property, and also for the current issues that we see. And I don't look at the people that are impacted by drugs and alcohol. They're still somebody's family, so we need to find a way to help heal them. Them are the types of things that we've been working on a lot lately. How do we get the community engagement, not just to report them, but like Karen mentioned, going out into the community and seeing who needs, the second harvest, seeing who needs additional assistance. If we don't know that, we don't know what families that we need to monitor, and not monitor because they're have issues, but some of them won't reach out for help. And that's the same with the people that have drug and alcohol problems. They don't know where to go for assistance. These are the type of things that we need to do in our local communities. We need to find out who needs the most assistance so that we can help them in a way that they're comfortable with asking, because that's what we lack in Indian country is we aren't good at asking for assistance. We're not good at asking for the appropriate type of help. So when I say that we want to work on the codes, it's not to violate their personal rights, but to actually find ways that if they really need help and they don't know it, how do we step up and take care of that? And that's what we want to work on.
What would you do for the Head Start programs if you were elected as council?
That's that's our baby. I think for those of you here in Omak, we've always been in a borrowed space. So fortunately for us, they got a new building. They just moved. This is their first year in East Omak. They used to be up here upstairs. And when we think about that and the little people that are going up and down the stairs, that's always a fear factor of mine, because I witnessed, you know, as a grandmother and a parent, you know, that's the place that the little kids want to play. I almost watched your guys' superintendent trip down the stairs today when I came in. I didn't want to witness that, but I think that's one of the bigger priorities we have right now, and we have a really good relationship with the program manager. She sends me emails every week if they get notice. We are on the notice for our Head Start Birth to 3 programs of the funding being cut completely, and we're reaching out, lobbying against it. But I also think that we need that. I don't see that just as the Head Start and the Birth 3 and the language program. I see that as a segue for the young parents to go to work, that actually assists them to help them break that barrier for childcare. They have somewhere to take their kids, just even if it's for a few hours a day, so that they can afford to go to work. We need to break their cycle. If that program goes away, then they don't have the opportunity to go to work. I've also reached out to our credit rep. We did a tax agreement. It's a tax credit agreement where they loaned us the money to help build that project, and we don't have to pay it all back. We only have to pay 10% back. And if we stay in compliance, then we only have to pay that 10% back. But if we come out of compliance, which is if we shut it down and we don't use it for the purposes in their scope of work, then we have to pay 100% back, and that's over $4 million. So it's really a priority for us to ensure that school keeps moving forward and help our kids grow in the community.
So to share a couple of things that we've done specifically with Head Start, we've participated in some of the activities that they hold, which is really important to have that presence with Head Start to support the staff, to support the families and the children. And any given day, it's really important that, you know, that they see us and they know that we're there and that we believe that they're all in a good place. And so it's important that we participate in those activities. Last year at the grand opening, I had donated a mural. It's a photograph collage to the Head Start at the grand opening. I thought it was important that they see that, you know, that we're willing to step up and to donate items. And it's hanging in the wall. The other day Norma and I were there, we were talking to a couple of staff just before the groundbreaking for the new Omak Senior Mills site. And I saw the collage on the wall. I was really happy to see that. What's interesting though is that the individual that took the photos works for the Washington Indian Gaming Association, and I'm the delegate for WIGA. And I attended their gala last year. They have a gala every year that includes not only dinner, but a live and a silent auction. And I bid on that collage, and I won it in the silent auction, and I donated it to Head Start. But what's important about that gala is that the funding that is raised goes to scholarships. So I also sit on WIGA's scholarship committee, and we just awarded 85 students scholarships at the AA, BA, and PhD level. So there's that connection between Head Start, early Head Start language program, and post-secondary education. So Head Start is really important. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with my cousins over here, but I have 3 grandkids in the grade school now. A couple go to Waterfall here, and I bring them here. And my little girls, they say, "Grandpa, can you bring me in?" I said, "Why do I have to bring you in the door?" And he said, "Because there's some big kids want to torture me or something." But those are the kind of issues they kind of see. And then my son, he's old. He's older than me now, but he went to school when the mission was over there, or the Pasco Shimmer was over there. And every time he'd go anywhere, some kids would threaten him. And there's real threats. And he survived, but it was stressful for him. And a couple of those boys that used to pick on him, they're in federal penitentiaries now. So that kind of stuff is real, and it's something we need to protect our children from. So it's big problems. We've got individuals and we got facilities. I think this school kind of helped the facilities out, because you go over there a couple hundred yards. That's what our people grew up in over there. I played basketball in this old condemnable Quonset hut. I'm sure all my friends did too, and the classrooms were pretty terrible and so forth. And then the kids were getting raped by priests, and this goes on and on and on. And I think this facility is built by the tribe and with federal help, and I think it was like $19 or $20 million. And it's a start, but it's significant. It's one of the most beautiful schools probably in the world. And everyone that sees pictures, they tell me, "Well, is that your guys' school?" I said, "Yeah, that's our school," and they're just amazed. And I think that helps our kids get a better view of themselves. This by being in nice facilities. I know when I was going to school down there, it's like, yeah, I like the school and I like the kids and I like most of the teachers, but it's kind of hard to be too proud of all this stuff that should be condemned, And that's just the way it was. But tribe's moving forward. I think part of the problem is we need to make more money, but I'm running out of time. Thank you.
Feel free to ask us to repeat the question if needed, but my question is, what would you say differentiates yourself from the other councilmen running? What makes you special? Starting with Norma.
I don't think I'm special. I think that I'm glad that everybody who steps up does, because it shows a lot. It shows the passion for the tribe. I don't think that I learned everything that I need to know as a council person. I'm well-rounded. I have a background in a bunch of different fields because of how I grew up. I grew up poor, but not any poorer than a lot of my friends and families that we grew up back then. I have some knowledge in finance. I have some knowledge in forestry. I worked for Fish and Wildlife. I was their financial administrator there. My family's in construction, so my brother and my dad and them all used to build houses, build structures. So I got the opportunity to see a lot of that, know about the processes. When I worked at different jobs, I got to open and close tribal businesses because they were not successful, and I did a lot of budgeting processing, so I know what the critical points are. We're there, and I don't say I'm any better than anybody who's ever put their name in for any council, and I just think that what I've learned in the last 4 years is that the longevity of connections, the partnerships you have, the more they remember you, they seek you out when they're actually looking for the tribe, and they remember who you are, what you're working on, where they met you. And so I think that's the only step up that I have for anybody who's put their name in to be on council.
So, like Norma, I never, and I know never is a strong word, never thought I was special. I'm a survivor of St. Mary's Mission, and was always told that I'd never go to university, and a number of other cruel, negative comments that I'm not going to talk about. And so out of that, I worked really hard to get to university. And the first couple of times I was not successful. In fact, I had dropped out of high school and my parents didn't even know. But I pushed to go to Riverside Indian School in Anadarko, Oklahoma. Probably not the best place to go, but I needed to go somewhere so I could finish high school. I graduated from there, and then when I got back, I immediately applied for university. Instead, I went to community college. Then I went to university after a couple of attempted times, and I was a single parent. But I worked hard, and my daughter grew up in the academic setting. And so when I earned my degree 4 years after I graduated, she graduated from high school, and she earned her couple of degrees. And so just that passion to wanting to come home and work for the tribe and try to provide some sort of assistance and experience to the membership was one of my goals. I know 2 minutes doesn't give me enough time to talk about this in more detail, but it was just that determination and that passion to be better. That's why I'm here.
People are wondering why I'm even showing up tonight, actually. But I was on council about 20 years. I've been through lots of elections, and a few times I lost by like 2 votes or something like that. I guess just mathematically, I don't really think there's any way I can win this election. You know, that's barring a big miracle, but I don't really expect it. But at the same time, I'm a tribal member. I grew up caring about the tribe. I still care about the tribe, and I actually like these 2 ladies here, and I'm really interested in hearing their ideas. And, you know, you never know. They might need to fill in a council spot next year, and I hope I'm on the list. I hope that doesn't happen, really. But if it does happen sometimes, and then there's always elections next year. And so if I can build on this year, that's probably helpful for me. And if I don't make it next year, you know, I'll survive. The tribe will survive, you know. But it's just, I think it's just something I care about. It's the Colville tribe, and my people, my family. To me, we're all family anyway. But my family, I mean the Colville tribe, I guess. And even some of the Yakuba's are my friends, even though we're always fighting, you know. But some of my best friends we fight with. But anyway, that's. I don't think any of us are better than the other, you know. I happen to have a lot of white man's education, but my dad had no white man's education. He was a carpenter and construction guy, and he knew more about those things than I ever will. And he was respected by everybody, you know. So it takes everybody and all kinds of talents and all kinds of viewpoints. And so I think that's kind of how it is. And that's what makes us a tribe. We're all kind of like a big team, even though we might be infighting sometimes, or we need everyone in the tribe, you know, and that's just how it is. And even having a good argument or fight, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Me and my wife are always fighting, but we don't split up. You know, we stay there and torture each other the next day. I'm just kidding, but thank you.
My question, starting with Mike, is how do you plan to address issues related to crimes and public safety, especially around our new youth buildings?
I know in the past I've kind of disagreed with some of our police chiefs and some of our people, and the problems are so big you have to have a strategy, of course, but a lot of times those strategies, the tribe would work with state entities and national entities, and a lot of times those programs would focus on getting the big leaders of crime, you know, whether they're based in Seattle or South America or wherever they're from, they'd try to bust those people. And I'm not opposed to that, but I wonder how much it really helps us locally, you know, if they spend 3 or 4 years to bust someone down in Wenatchee or Seattle. Well, guess what? Within that day, they're replaced. You know, they could be shot down. They're replaced next day. That big crime syndicate does not stop. You know, so and then locally, you know, I could go down to East Omak and walk around. And people will just tell me, "There's people selling drugs out of that house. There's people selling drugs out of that house." Everyone in East Omak knows who's selling drugs. Why can't we arrest some of those people? Bust some of those people? Maybe it won't be a multi-billion-dollar catch, but but it'll directly affect our neighborhoods, and I think that's pretty important. I think there needs to be some balance between busting the local crooks and some balance between these big kingpins or whatever you want to call them. And, you know, it all needs to work together. And then the rehabilitation and relearning of these guys is another issue. It's very important. I know some of my friends that, you know, they ended up in prison, and some of them have turned out okay. Some haven't, you know. And you know, you can save some people if they want to save themselves, and some people that's just the way it is. They probably should stay in prison. But anyway, kids are important, and I think a lot of it is there opportunity? Is there any jobs, etc.? Thank you.
All right. So Norma mentioned earlier that we've worked really hard on amending the civil and criminal codes. And it was important that we work on that so we can address the crime and the drug issues, not only in the Omak district around the new buildings that we have, but also throughout the reservation. We also know that just working on the reservation will not solve the issues. We need to work with our local and regional partners, because if we only focused on our side, then there's those people on the other side of the river that will bring similar crime to the reservation. So having that working relationship with the local authorities is really important. There's the issue of jurisdiction, though, that comes up between who has the authority to arrest somebody if they're on fee land or if they're on trust property. So our law enforcement deals with that issue, and the city of Omak and the sheriff's department also deals with those jurisdictional issues. When it comes to drug busts, there's a task force where we all come together to make sure that we're working on getting rid of those criminals, arresting everybody, and getting rid of those criminals. By getting rid of, I mean arresting them and sending them through the court system, and with the intent of hopefully they're going to prison. And so having that really solid working relationship with the local law enforcement agencies is important for us to address this issue, because we can't address it alone, given that we are a checkerboard area in the Omak district. And so that's the main way, plus, like I said, revising or amending the codes. Thank you.
Yeah, I think looking at, and I don't want to just look at Omak, you know, it's unfortunate that the youth council's all from Omak, because if you know the district for Omak, it goes from the Canadian border all the way down past Brewster towards Wenatchee. Our people from Omak are considered in that classification. But growing up on East Omak, what the activity and what it looks like today would never happen back in the day. Not because of the issues going on today. It's because the respect isn't there. We don't respect our own properties anymore. We don't take care of our own stuff. I did have a member call me about the corner house that's across from the light down there a week ago, and so I did some calls. And I normally it don't work that way, but I said the city's responsible for that house and that corner right there, or the lack of house, and they had it all cleaned up. That's that relationship with the jurisdictional issues. We did fix some of the codes. We asked the police to be more present, the tribal police, to do more drive-throughs, and it's really important that the community help us, because if you guys don't call us and tell us, hey, they're just parked down there, sitting there visiting, they could be doing a drive-through. That might save one crime, that might save some vandalism, that might save a life, because of all the things that are going on. I believe that the city ordinances doesn't allow for a lot of the illegal activity that's going on within the East Omak area. They have a city ordinance that says that there's a lot of things that they're doing down there right now today are not something that they tolerate, but nobody's acting on it. So again, working on them codes, ensuring that we have police presence, and then notifying just constant calls.
We're gonna start the second questions. Which we'll start with Norma and then go to Mike. What kinds of events or programs would you push to keep kids busy and out of trouble?
I want a trade school. I want a trade school not just for the youth, but for the adults. Not because it's just for learning, but you get a skill set that you can support your life with. You could support your family with. A trade school, you can be 14 and start an entry in a trade school because not everything's hands-on. But what you learn from the trade school, you could go there every day. There's teachers at the city level and at the college level that want to have something in that fashion because not everybody's geared towards college. And if we could have that, then we could not only create new jobs, we could create entrepreneurs, and we could create ability for our members who don't know how to go and stay in a regular job. They could do side jobs and still be able to support themselves a little bit. That's really something we haven't had in this valley for years. I also think that we should have more open events, like at least 2 to 3 a month. We should be able to have all the kids get together. I think, why are our people always going out to do Hoop Fest? Why are our people always traveling somewhere else to do that? We have a park in the area that we could, use that whole circle there where they could have their own Hoop Fest here, but do it with all our tribal communities so that you guys get to know your families, because everybody on this reservation is related one way or another. We used to do that, travel around to each center and have gatherings just with a tribal, and you don't have to be a tribal member, but you belong to that community. I think we should have little fairs. You guys could have like little carnivals, and invite the other communities. They could bus each other back and forth, and the parents would bring them just to be engaged in that. And then have more outside activity with sports, just fun games. You could play kickball, anything.
What? I kind of see things differently now that I'm a grandfather. But I'm seeing what my grandkids are going through, and they live in different places where they have. And I see some schools have all kinds of things we don't have, and probably some vice versa. But I guess I kind of look at things maybe more from a facility standpoint. Sometimes I wonder, like there are indoor arenas where they hold multi-purpose events, whether it's Bigfoot trucks or basketball tournaments or even rodeos. We kind of lack those things here. And you can go to Moses Lake, they've got that track center down there, but they kind of restrict who can use that also. And you go to Las Vegas, there's at least 2 casinos with big indoor rodeos. You can make that year-round here. And I always thought they should build that on their casino, have conference facilities, have sports facilities. Then we could host Northwest sports activities, Northwest rodeo activities, or all sorts of activities. But without the facility, you're not going to have none of that, And then I guess the other thing is maybe some non-conventional sorts of things like the arts, music. We could have the world's greatest talented musicians here, but the facilities to develop them are really limited, And I have a grandson who's interested in video. He requested to go to New York film summer camp, and we figured out a way to send him there, and he enjoyed it, and they liked him. How many Indians did they see in New York, right? And they enjoyed him, and then they invited him down to Los Angeles this last summer. It was called New York Film Camp there also, but it was in Los Angeles. So he is kind of interested in that. It's this idea he had and so forth. But I like to see more of that, get more of a variety of things. Thank you.
So I like what both Norma and Mike said, and as I was writing, just so everybody knows, I take notes all the time. So if you see me writing, it's normal. But what I wanted to say is that, they touched on a couple of things that I think are really important. Sports is very important, but we have a lot of kids that are smart and they don't participate in physical activity as much as some kids do. And so having those academic clubs, I think, is one piece that we're missing. And I really think that we should focus on activities for those kids also. We know that a lot of kids participate in rodeos, basketball, softball, baseball, soccer. Soccer's huge. But academics, film, like Mike said, swimming. We have one little pool. The casino has a pool. I don't know how many people actually go there and swim. But I think having more activities for competition swimming would be nice. Band, having more access to participating in band projects or band camp. Science camps, we definitely need more. I have a granddaughter who's 7. And when I visited her last, she was doing creating science, small little robots. And so that's something that we don't have here that I think a lot of kids would be really interested in. So expanding those kinds of activities for our youth is important. I really would like to see more people utilize the library. I know you have to go across town, but hopefully as we continue to build the district buildings in our district, that we'll be able to put in a library that's needed.
What is your opinion about building a daycare for tribal families? Starting with Mike.
I think it's a good thing. I'm not working right now officially because I have a couple of I have a preschool girl and granddaughter and a first grader, and it's such just a difficult thing finding good babysitters and things. I just said, well, I'll help my son out with that, and I don't watch him full time, but I watch him probably half the week, and I text him to school and that sort of thing. And then I have another son with, or another daughter with the older kid, and it's just an ongoing problem. And, a lot of our jobs, my kids are doing okay money-wise, but a lot of our jobs in tribe don't really pay that much, So if you're paying for rent, you're paying for a car, you're paying for this and that, and then if you're paying for daycare, you're like working for nothing, or you're working in the minus, And so I think it's something the tribe needs to step up and find solutions for. For some, it might be daycare. For some, it might be something else. But if we keep saying our kids are a priority, we need to make it a priority. And if you can't find a place in the budget where it is a priority, well, it's not really a priority. So thank you.
And we are trying really hard to make sure that we have daycares that are associated with our Head Start. So Omak is one of the districts that we're still working on creating and installing a daycare in the new Head Start building. So currently we receive funding for early Head Start, and for those children that are eligible for early Head Start and Head Start is one way that families are able to provide their children with access or exposure to a really minimal level of education, but it's so necessary for the kids to learn at that early stage, social and emotional learning, as well as everything else that Head Start provides. I was former Head Start director for the tribe for 2 years, and boy, that was different. I served on council previously, and then I went to Head Start when I was unseated. And Head Start, I'm such a supporter of Head Start because I know what's possible. And right now, for those families that have their kids in Head Start, the children are exposed to so many different things that they will be successful as they continue to grow and move up through the grades. But daycare, you know, like I said in the beginning, is so important. And the other Head Start programs have daycare in the same building. So if we can get to that point for Omak, we will definitely do that. It's a matter of looking at the space and whether or not we have enough space. And then there's the funding and the staffing. So we're working on that. And I really think that there's a lack of adequate professional healthcare or childcare services now. So we're working on it. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that is the major thing that our district has always lacked. We're one of the only districts that doesn't have child care services. It's not like it was decades ago where the family stepped up and helped took care of your children. It almost takes like you need 2 jobs in a household or 3 now just to survive. And so much so that people don't even want to have children because it's so expensive. We think that if, you know, we focus on child care services, there's so many new requirements to it, is that we need to have people that want to be in that field. Right now, in order for you to take care of somebody else's children that aren't your own, you have to have ECE credits. You have to have so many credits before you can even babysit somebody else's children that's not a family member or work in an office or environment of child care. That wasn't a rule in the past, and I don't know why you need ECE credits, which are educational credits, just to watch children, especially if they're underage children, not even child school ready. But if they're birthed to 5 years old, you still need to have them credits, which to me is unfair. I talked to the owners or the Montessori school, and they put child care in their facility, and they say they operated it as a negative. And that wasn't the intention of it. But I think that if we could get a building and get it going, I think that we should step up and do it as a tribe. We don't pay for it 100%. We get passed through state funding from the federal government, but that was also cut this fiscal year if the budget passes. But there's still alternative ways, and maybe a volunteer system, you know, to help, because we're going to need 24-hour child care in our communities, not just, you know, a 8 to 5 job. It's everybody who works needs a child care.
What would you do to improve the community's overall homeless issue?
Can you repeat that? I didn't hear your last 2 words.
What would you do to help the community's overall homeless issue?
The homeless issue?
Yes.
Ooh. I personally can't address the homeless issue of how I could help, but I could work on it. I'm on a board to work on the homeless. I have been pushing. We made it a priority. It's an emergency priority as a crisis within our reservation, and not just our reservation, but in the whole state. And that we've focused on how do we find alternative measures to, you know, pull teams together, to find collaboration so that we can pull money together so that we aren't the only ones trying to build these housing. HUD housing itself cannot do it. It's only for a select population. And so we have a housing board. It's nonprofit. They have their own group, and we align them with some other groups that we have to build either subdivisions so that people who are tribal or coming in that want to buy a home, they can, or lease a home, they can. For the middle income people who can't find a reasonable, affordable housing. So we've been working on a lot of them. We have a homeless plan development that we've been working on that we're almost in the end phase of approving. I've also been working with some tax credit groups that come in and help lower and impoverished communities that don't have the opportunities to develop because of the lack of funding. We were also scheduled as an opportunity zone through the state and the county. We got 2 points for that, and so if there's economic funding that comes out through the state, we can apply for that. We just need a plan, and the bigger focus is finding land with economic development, water, sewer, and power infrastructure, because that's one of the highest costs to putting in a house today, to drive down the cost of building a home that we could sell to a member that could afford it.
He left, so I'll go ahead and go. So Norma said what I was going to say. No, I'm kidding. Now, we've been working really hard on trying to address this issue, and it's a struggle, not only in our community, but also, as Norma alluded to, the state, but it's a nationwide issue. Homelessness not only brings, though, a lack of housing available for individuals living on the streets, but it also points to the other issues that are at the basis of homelessness. We have a lot of people, and I don't mean necessarily tribal members, but community members in general, who have mental health issues. We have people with addictions. And so when you look at addressing the homeless issue, you not only have to look at the funding, which is your primary goal that you're trying to reach so that you can build affordable housing for homeless, but you have to look at providing services for those that will be in those homes. You can't just give a home to a homeless person without establishing policies. And I think a lot of people don't understand that, because people get upset when they're like, well, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Give them a home. But if they have mental health issues, they don't know how to take care of themselves. If they have drug issues, they don't know how to take care of themselves. And so it's important to have those policies available so that when you open that door and you give them a key, you let them know that you've got services available and that they can call you, or that they will be checked on a daily basis if that's needed. So having services available for addressing the homeless issue is so important.
Just to add on to what these ladies said, the part of the issue is we say homeless like it's one group of people, but it's not. You know, there's lots of different categories and reasons behind being homeless. I don't pretend to know all the answers, but I went back to college about 10 years ago in Seattle, and then the word got around. They say, we have a former Colville chairman going to school here, and all these people wanted me to be on their boards. And so one of them was the Chief Seattle Club board. It's a board for Native American homeless in Seattle. And it sounded interesting because I was thinking, we got the same problems here. And so I did get on that board for a while. And I guess what I saw there is they do a big assessment of each person that wants it, of course. And it requires a psychologist and counselors and different government agencies. And they figure out, like, what is their status? Are they totally homeless, not capable of being fixed or rehabilitated, whatever you want to call it, or maybe they're 99% fine, doing okay. They just had some bad luck and just need a little bit of help, and they can fix the rest themselves. And so you have a whole range of different types of people, and it takes different solutions for each group. And some people have mental issues. They only want a home. They don't want nothing to do with homes. They just want to be outside, and that's it, you know. And so each group kind of has different sets of problems and different kinds of solutions, and that's just how you have to address it, I think. And we have some housing stuff in the tribe, but it doesn't cover all the needs, you know. But we just need to continue to work at it, and that's about it. Thank you.
Starting with Mike, what would you say to be our tribe's greatest weakness? And if elected, what would you do to fix said issue?
Should I start at the other side now? Just with my experience, I guess, you know, we have very smart people and we have some very educated people. But if you look at this data, information about all the tribe, from I don't want to say bottom, that's not the right word, but while we do have some of the cream of the crop, smart people as far as school and everything goes, we have a lot of people that don't do so good. Like you can take just test scores. I know test scores on everything, but on the average, tribal members are very low in everything almost on the average. I mean, we might have Einstein there, but we also have people struggling, with math, science, English. And I know I've run into the problem where we try to recruit businesses to relocate here. And the first thing they do is they look at the population, and what they tell me is, any other council, is that we look at your workforce, we don't think you have enough people with basic reading skills, basic math skills to be able to fill the jobs in our business. And so they go somewhere else. And so it's a problem that, well, it hurts the tribe. We can't recruit some of these businesses, but it's a problem for that individual too. They're not getting served by the school system. Oftentimes, we hear they'll just pass guys to grade, give them a degree, and after 12 years, they didn't learn anything, and that's a big problem. And then they don't go away; they're still here. And then they get in other tribal programs where we try to help them or rehabilitate them. My wife happens to work in a vocational rehabilitation program. She gets a lot of those types of guys, and again, like housing, there's all kinds of guys, but some maybe just need a little boost or a little help in this area, or maybe they need a major overhaul. But it's an ongoing problem. We need better schools, better education, better training.
Wow, that's a big question. I agree with Mike in terms of the educational system can be improved. We have a lot of smart kids who come through the system, but at some point when they're struggling, they're unable to receive, in some cases, to receive the assistance that they need to overcome an issue. I loved math when I was in school, and so I didn't have an issue there, but science, boy, that was tough. And there was nobody really available to assist me, but that wasn't the main issue. The issue was that I was unable to ask for help. And so in some cases, that can be an issue for our students, is they're scared, they're either scared to ask the question, or they don't want to be looked at like they're not smart. I was trying to find a word instead of that, but we'll just go with that, because some people, when I was a kid, I thought if I asked for help, then it meant that I was dumb. And that wasn't the case at all. So I think that having the ability to ask questions, to ask for help, is one of our weaknesses. And having the ability to provide our kids with a safe enough environment, whether it's at the home or at the school, is one of the key ways that we can get around students not feeling like they are in a good place or a safe place where they can ask for help. If you can ask for help, then you have a better opportunity at becoming as successful as you can.
I wish I was first on that question, because they say the thing that comes into your mind first is your most honest answer. So I had the time to rehash it through. I think we have a couple weaknesses, but I think the greatest one is that we don't have the ability to entice outside industry here to create jobs for our people. And it's been an issue for our counties forever. We try to get individuals to come here or partner with us to create new jobs. And one is the workforce. The other one is there's no housing. So how do we ensure that our people that are being tied to our reservation have somewhere to work when they get out of school? I think the other alternative weakness is that we don't have the tool sets to hand to the people that we need to groom up into the positions that are aging out. We have a lot of industry age outs, like electricians, carpenters, millwrights, foresters, nursing. We have all these jobs, administrations, that are aging out or getting to within their 5 to 10 year retirement plan, and we don't have the tool set within our community to train them to stay here in our community. What we do is we send them somewhere to go to school and get educated, and then they find out there's a whole new world out there and they don't come back. I'm guilty of that. I moved to California when I was 21 and I came back when I was 38 or 37. So I'm guilty of that. So I think that if we could do anything for our tribe is to find resources so that the people who do love and want to be here on our reservation have the ability to get the education or the experience they need to work in the jobs that we do have available here, and to also entice alternative industries to come in on our reservation so we create new jobs.
Our final question, starting with Norma, would be, what is some advice you would give to our youth that hope to make a difference by running in the future?
I think that you look at yourself and figure out what you want first. To come into this type of job is a high demand on time, mentally, and you have to come in strong enough within yourself to understand that you still want to help, you still have that passion, and you still want to make sure that whatever you had when you started in this job is left better than when you walk away, and that you made an improvement. If you made one improvement at all within your tribe, or you stepped up to help your tribe, or do anything to benefit, even if it's minor, that you keep that in your mind. A good thing is to watch what's new and growing. Social media is something that is taken off. Fake money, I don't know if it's fake money, I can't see a Bitcoin, but all these things are new. The new technology is where it's moving to. And if you talk to our elders who no longer are here, their passion wasn't to send their children off to get educated to be different than they were. Their passion was to have their children to get educated to come back and protect them, because the outside colonization was something that impacted the people here. So they wanted them to be able to protect them with the educations they had. So I think that look to what's moving in the future and where it's going. And even if it's not an interest of yours, you have to be knowledgeable about it. I don't know everything, but the little things that I picked up on things that I don't know about, I kind of listen more and take heed to the people who are knowledgeable about it, and I have to rely on that. So one thing is that make sure that you know who the good and the bad are, and follow that in your heart.
So my best advice is similar to Norma's. My parents taught me a really good work ethic. So having a really good work ethic is so important. And then educating yourself on all the issues. So as you go through high school and you're finding where your niche is, what you're good at, and if you go to university, then learn as much as you can about that field that you're interested in. And if you decide not to go to university and you go to trade school, learning that skill and being the best at that skill will help you, because you're learning how to develop that good work ethic. If you hadn't learned it, you will learn it. And you'll want to be at work every day because that job becomes a passion. So it's no longer work, it's a passion. It's something that you love to do. And you're going to do everything that you can to educate yourself. You're going to learn as much as you can. You're going to read. Reading is so important. In the field that I went into, everybody thinks it's boring. But I'm a trained historian, and I was the archivist for the tribe for 13 years. Nobody wants to work with records. But you learn so much about the history of the tribe, about families. So having that passion to do something isn't work. It's a passion, and you love it, and you get up every day and you're happy to go do it. And that's the best thing that's the best advice I can give you is find your niche, love it, and do whatever you can to help everybody with that passion, because that will provide you with the opportunity to provide services to tribal members. Because as an archivist for the tribe, I provided that service that I continue to provide while I'm on council. Lemnemt.
I grew up here in Omak mostly, and I like the reservation. But as I got older and talked to elders and read more books and tried to learn more of our history, and it's changed a lot over hundreds of years. And you know, one way to look at the reservation, it's beautiful, but the other way to look at the reservation, it's a prison. Our tribes are gathered from all the northwestern states, marched at gunpoint to live here on the Culver Reservation. Period. It was a prison. A few of us were sent to Alcatraz, another prison, and that's where we are. But and then I'll move up the clock to when I was a staff person. Opportunity came up to buy some land at Airway Heights in Spokane. One of the realtors knew someone who was a friend of someone in Culver Reservation, and they said, "We got this land right here. You could put a casino on it." And I thought, God, that would be great, you know. And we talked about it, and some council supported it, some didn't. But one of the overriding arguments was that we got the reservation. That's your job, to fix the reservation, develop the reservation. And so we turned down that property, which is now Northern Quest Casino. That could have been ours. We were offered it first. And we turned it down because it's off the reservation, which to me was all totally insane. And especially if you look at it from a history standpoint. Our people once lived in Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana. We hunted buffalo in the Great Plains in Canada, Alberta. Our people they went all over the place. And so that was, to me, that's the big picture of where our people lived. The picture of us living on a reservation's only been since 1872. And so that'd be my goal is kind of reverse this colonization, or we can be the colonizers. Go take back all these places where we once lived. You know, we should own businesses and live in Idaho, Montana, British Columbia. You know, we won the right to hunt in British Columbia. We should go after the land. We can still go after a land claims case. There's millions of acres up there which should be ours. We didn't sell it. We didn't sign a treaty. By law, it should be given back to us. So to me, we should look at bigger territories, bigger resource bases. To me, it's all more opportunities for us. Thank you.
Now we're going to give you your time for your closing remarks. Start with Mike.
I just want to thank the Youth Council. I wish they had these debates years and years ago. And some people did try to start them, and they did, and maybe some are better than others. But a couple of them I was invited to, I looked at and I said, this looks like a setup to me. You're walking into a trap, you know. Maybe it wasn't, maybe it was, I don't know. But I didn't really think it was set up to be fair. I think you guys are very fair. I think it's a very good environment to speak. And I want to thank you guys, first of all, and keep it up. And then I guess the other thing is, I just love the tribe, and I hope whoever wins, and personally, I don't think it's going to be me this time, but I hope these guys have success and do great things for the tribe. And when you get up there on your high horse, don't forget Mike back in the dust, you know. So I'm just joking. But I think it's an honor to be a Colville. It's an honor to run for council. Anyone could run for council, and you guys should run for council. I run into this, one of my friends, he works at the dump of all places, and he said, Mike, why do you always keep running for council? And I said, well, hey, it's free. And I think that could help. And he just laughed. And he said, yeah, I guess that's true. I said, you're a tribal member. If you got ideas, go run for council, or at least go vote. A lot of our people don't even vote. That makes me sad, but, you know, our voting's not good. And especially with young people. So I'm really proud of you guys. You're all young people. But you need to get your classmates on the stick and get them to participate. I know that's not easy, but it needs to happen. They're the next leaders. Pretty soon we'll all be dust and you'll be in charge. And I can sit out there and throw rotten tomatoes at you. Thank you.
So I just want to thank the Youth Council also for hosting this forum. I missed the first one because I was on travel, but this one's great. And Norma had said that the first one was really good. So I looked forward to being here today. Lim for hosting this. Thank you to the staff for helping the Youth Council. Thank you to the audience. I think it's important that people be here. Thank you to the film crew, or sorry, I don't know what your titles are. But anyway, quickly, because I run out of time. I just wanted to let everybody know that I, like Mike, I love my tribe. I love my family. I love the membership. Took a long time as a survivor of St. Mary's Mission to love myself, but I do. And that love makes it possible for me to serve the membership and the tribe. Everything that I do is in the best interests of the tribe. And I'm reminded of that every second of every day. It's so important to be in a service position where you're not thinking about yourself, you're thinking about the membership, you're thinking about the tribe. So every vote that I take or I make is in the best interests of the tribe, of all of you. And again, service is so important. And I really hope that some of you really take it serious and run for council. When nobody else thinks you can do it, do it. Like Mike said, it's free. But you got to have that passion. You got to want to help other people. And that's really at the basis of what I do, is I want to help people. And so I hope that I've done that, and I want to thank everybody for all of the support. Lim.
I think I want to share a little bit. First, I want to say thank you guys. I really appreciate this. It kind of gives us insight into what the other people, the other candidates are wanting, and understanding some of the people that will come in, where they might be a good fit into the council table. Then I want to say that we only have to vote and cash our check and get enrolled. That's it. To be a tribal member, you get enrolled, you vote, and you cash your check. Them are your 3 rights as a tribal member. The resources are all of ours. And for those who don't know, Native people weren't even allowed to vote. We didn't even have any legal rights. We weren't even allowed to vote until the 60s, and then they had to ratify that in the 70s because they weren't being allowed to vote at the polls. And so even to not vote, even a no vote, is utilizing your right. I didn't ever want to be on council. It was something that my elders asked me to do. It's something they thought that they seen something in me because of my strictness or my personality or whatever. And I do this because I had 7 children. I raised 9. I have 23 grandchildren and 7 great-grandchildren. And if I don't step up and try to protect and change things on our reservation, then I shouldn't expect them to have a good upbringing, good education, a good place to live. And everything that we do and approve or change at the business council level and make it into law, I wouldn't do anything that I wouldn't allow myself or my children to have to abide by or live by. And so that's what's really important about voting, is make sure that you make your voice heard, and if you don't like what's going on, say something.
Thank you guys for coming. We really appreciate it. That's the end of our forum. Thank you. Have a good night. Safe travels home.